Good afternoon. Did you know that 10 million animals die from animal abuse in the United States every year? This is explained by Alexander Hrubenya from Petpedia.co in the article 45 Disturbing Animal Abuse Statistics from 2022, which also states that an animal is abused every 60 seconds. When an animal misbehaves, the animal is often punished for their behavior. The people who are responsible for these animals should be held accountable and not the animals. I'm a pet owner who has consistently had 2 to 6 pets in their household since I was a child. I know a lot about animal care and treatment, and I've also done rigorous amounts of research on my discussed topics today. An animal should not be punished for their aggressive and violent behavior, since the way an animal is trained and treated directly affects their behavior. The owners who are responsible for these animals are liable for their animals' behaviors. Today I'll bring up the distinct reasons as to why an animal's behavior is a direct reflection of their owner's treatment and why the caretaker of the animal is responsible for these actions. I'll start off by discussing how animals who have been abused behave differently than animals who have not been abused. The way an animal is trained determines how they behave. The way an animal is trained to behave directly affects how they act. Karen B. London from thebark.com elaborates in the article Behavior of Canine Abuse Victims from March of 2015. Dogs with a history of abuse displayed far more fear and aggression towards unfamiliar people and unfamiliar dogs. It is stated here that when a dog is abused, it can cause them to act more aggressive and fearful towards unfamiliar people and animals. This abuse is caused by the owners, as they are the people who have trained them. When an owner mistreats their animal, they then become responsible for that animal's behaviors. Training an animal is like raising a child. When a person chooses to take in an animal, it is like taking care of a child. Your behavior will directly determine your animal's reactions. When you yell at your animal or take out your aggression on them, they will become aggressive and afraid themselves. As of now, I have a cat who has severe anxiety from her former owners. Since she's been exposed to more positive behavior with me, she is now extremely social and gets along very well with other cats. This proves how the caretaker's behavior directly affects the animal's behavior. Not only does the owner's behavior affect the animal, but also the animal's required and given care affect how they behave. Animal care is a vital part of determining how an animal acts in their environment. Some animals have specific requirements, and not meeting these requirements will change an animal's behavior. When animals that are larger or higher energy breeds are kept in small enclosed areas, they become restless, depressed, anxious, and even aggressive. This can be seen in the article from allthat'sinteresting.com titled Inside Serial Trainer Don Brancho's Death Inside the Jaws of a Killer Whale by Bernadette Giacomosa from December of 2021. The serial trainer was killed by an orca whale named Tilikum during a performance between the two. It is heavily speculated that Tilikum acted out because of SeaWorld's known mistreatments of animals by starving them and keeping them in extremely small enclosures, among other mistreatments. If this orca whale house was properly cared for, then this trainer may not have died. Another example lies in having a knowledge of foods or activities that may be dangerous for your animal. America Humane notes in the article Pets and Poisons from August of 2016, the National Animal Poison Control Center states that an average of 200 dogs are intentionally killed by poison every year. If 200 dogs are intentionally killed by them being poisoned, then there must also be a vast number of dogs that are harmed or die from unintentional poisonings. Ingesting improper foods can damage an animal in long-term ways, and not knowing what environmental items are dangerous to your animal can cause serious behavioral changes. Some animal owners decide to take care of animals that they have no knowledge of caring for, or animals that are not meant to be kept in captivity at all. There are many owners across the globe who own exotic animals as pets in captivity. Born Free USA elaborates that there are more than 1,000 known online sites to sell and purchase exotic animals. In addition, these animals pose health risks by carrying diseases or public safety risks through their behaviors. According to the article previously mentioned by Alexander Hrubenya, they also state that over 1/3 of known parrot species have become extinct due to exotic bird trade. In addition to this damage that is being done to the exotic pet trade, these animals can often act extremely aggressive due to their mistreatment. There are some extremely well-known cases of exotic animals harming their caregivers due to improper and difficult care for these animals. Some of these are that of Charlie and Ash having her arms and face completely ripped off by her friend's pet chimpanzee, and others as cited by Blythe Copeland from treebugger.com in 5 tragic stories of exotic pet ownership gone wrong from October of 2018. Since these owners couldn't provide proper care for these animals, it resulted in lives being lost and the risks of other people being harmed because of these animals' natural wild behaviors. After discussing the dangers of improper care given to animals, I'll now tell you how not researching animal behaviors can result in safety risks. Animals and people have extremely diverse ways of behaving and communicating. A lack of care of understanding the difference in these communications can result in animals being labeled as aggressive and dangerous when it is really a person's fault. In the wild, animal attacks often occur due to human error and not animal aggression. In the article by Cara Herrera Russo from HuffPost.com titled Why Do Animals Attack in the Wild? A lot of the time, it's kind of our fault. From February of 2016, it is stated in a study conducted on documented attacks on humans by large carnivores from 1955 to 2014, half of these attacks were a result of risky behaviors from the humans involved. The most common behavior involved was leaving a child unattended. If parents are unable to keep track of their children and an attack or death results, then results should be blamed on the parent themselves. If people were to simply educate themselves prior to going, found from daily.jester.org in the article Animal Attack, Odds Are It's Your Fault, from March of 2016 suggests that simply educating oneself on animal behaviors can save lives. When people see large animals such as a bear, they often immediately begin to panic and run. Simply making loud noises or waving larger objects around can scare off the bear, as suggested by McDonald. The lack of research from people on animal behaviors directly affects animals in the long run. When attacks occur, the researchers wrote, large carnivores are frequently killed and negative attitudes towards large carnivores harden, as written by the previously mentioned Carla Herrero-Russo. Even with domesticated animals, not understanding animal behaviors or social cues can result in attacks or aggressive animals. In both dogs and cats, there are many behaviors that owners often find cute or funny, but they are hints from the animal on how they are feeling. When a dog has its ears slicked back, this is a sign of aggression, and that the animal would rather be left alone. With cats, a cat flicking around its tail is often interpreted as a cat wanting to play, but that is also an act of the cat saying that they want to be left alone. Since humans and animals have different forms of communication and socialization, people are often quick to judge an animal for attacking when the animal had given many signs that they were unhappy with the situation. If they chose not to inform themselves of the animal's behaviors, then that is the person's fault for not caring when interacting with an animal and refusing to learn the signs of communication. Finally, let's summarize everything that was discussed here today. Overall, it's clear to see that when an animal misbehaves or shows signs of aggression, it is mostly the human's fault, not the animal's. For starters, the very root of animals' aggressive behavior often is a result of the owner improperly training the animal. Not caring for an animal can also result in aggressive forms of behavior due to high stress levels. When animal attacks do occur, it is often a result of a person not caring to research an animal's behaviors. When an animal does act out, the animal shouldn't be immediately punished. Rather, the owner should be investigated for the treatment of the animal, and the person attacked should be investigated for their behaviors as well. At the end of the day, the best way to view the situation of an animal attack is to imagine yourself as the animal. If you were trying to communicate what you were thinking or feeling and nobody was listening, wouldn't you eventually unleash your anger on someone as well?